All right, I want to begin by saying what we saw play out downtown last weekend was simply unacceptable. What we've seen in our other neighborhoods over the past few weeks is equally unacceptable. Our residents deserve better, our children deserve better, and a small number of our children need to be better. That's why we're here today. Because the behavior we saw last weekend will not continue. It is our duty as parents, as adults, and as law enforcement to keep our children safe, alive, out of jail, and out of the cemetery. And that's what this is all about. Beginning tomorrow, IMPD will begin enforcement of the state's curfew laws throughout our city. Deputy Chief Tanya will go into more detail shortly. Additionally, we will be proactive in the hours leading up to curfew. If juveniles are committing crimes, fighting, etc., you can expect our officers to take immediate action. But let me be clear. A curfew will not solve all of our problems, but it is another tool to use to deal with very specific issues wherever they occur. It is not our goal to round up our kids and arrest them. This is not helpful to anyone. We will not be doing mass arrests, and we will only take action when we need to, and if our youth are engaged in reckless and disorderly behavior, which includes vandalism, fighting, theft, trespass, just to name a few. Today, I'm again asking parents to step up and be a parent. It is your responsibility to know where your children are, who they are with, what they are doing at all times of the day. It is not the job of IMPD officers to babysit your children. We will not, and we cannot do it. I'm asking our community partners, youth-focused organizations, and our faith-based groups to come alongside your IMPD. I've been in contact with many of those groups over the past few days, and they are eager to engage with us and be part of the solution. This is the only way we'll be successful long term. This will not be solved by law enforcement alone. The information we are sharing with all of you today will also be shared with our local school districts so that our students, staff, parents, and guardians are all aware of what the expectations are, not just this weekend, but going forward. I want to acknowledge Mayor Hogsett and his leadership. He has been supportive of this plan and has been engaged with us all week. I also have spoken to Prosecutor Ryan Mears multiple times, starting on Monday. He is also supportive of our plans. He is also looking at the behavior of our children last weekend and seeing whether or not criminal charges for the parents is possible based on the facts of the circumstances that we know occurred last weekend. I've also talked with the judges and the Marion County Probation Chief, Christine Curl, all of which have been supportive of our efforts. Special thanks to our officers and detectives, analysts, and professional staff for their dedication and for stepping up to keep our city safe. Last weekend, we saw them run toward gunfire, provide medical aid, secure a crime scene, all under extremely chaotic circumstances. Frankly, none of us are surprised, and none of you should be surprised by that, because they are the best of us. Finally, to the Indianapolis community, I want to thank you for your unending support and encouragement that I've received, that our officers have received. They need to hear that from you, and we appreciate you. I'll now turn it over to Deputy Chief Tanya, who will fill in the details of our changes we're making to our public safety plan this weekend. Chief?
Thank you. Again, for those who don't know me, my name is Tanya, and I'm the Deputy Chief over IMPD's Operations Division. What you're about to hear is IMPD's response to the short-term trends we've been seeing. Let me be clear, we don't have all the answers or solutions, but we are going to continue to work together to address these issues because the future of all of our kids is at stake. Starting this weekend, leading up to the curfew, residents can expect an increased presence of uniformed and non-uniformed officers in and around the downtown area. Analysts in the Real-Time Crime Center will monitor city cameras and will use other technology to identify individuals engaging in disorderly and criminal behavior. Those who are engaging in that kind of behavior will be addressed by uniformed officers designated in the area. Prior to the curfew taking effect, the department will issue announcements to any large groups of juveniles present via the patrol car public address systems. Announcements will occur 30 minutes and 15 minutes prior to the curfew, followed by an announcement once the curfew is actually in effect. In the event that juveniles are found violating the curfew, officers may take appropriate action. This may involve bringing the juvenile to a designated safe and secure location. At that time, officers will make attempts to notify a parent, guardian, or custodian of that child. Parents and guardians will be granted a reasonable amount of time to pick up their child. If contact with parents or guardians cannot be established, the juvenile will be transported to the Juvenile Detention Center for a status offense. This is a non-criminal act that is considered a violation of the law only because of the juvenile status as a minor. IMPD's downtown district continues to work closely with downtown businesses and owners to ensure that they have the support that they need to operate safely and effectively. As of today, 315 downtown businesses have entered into a trespass agreement. That agreement allows IMPD officers to remove an unwanted person or persons from a private property. The Office of Public Health and Safety will also have representatives working during the evening hours this weekend to engage youth in the area. And at this time, I will turn it back over to Chief Bailey for some closing thoughts.
As we continue to move forward, we'll look for long-term solutions that can prevent us from being here again, talking about the same issues that I feel like that we've talked about for many years. I don't have all the answers, but there's answers out there when we work together. And I think if we work together, we can find those that make everything more effective for everybody and safe for everybody to enjoy what is a great city. And I want to say this: 99% of the juveniles and our children that come downtown to enjoy what's down there are good kids. They do what all of us did. They go to mall. They want to hang out with their kids, their friends. They want to be social, and that's 100% acceptable and okay. Everyone is welcome downtown. What is not welcome downtown, some of the behavior that we saw last weekend, wasn't just person shot. We had people that were jumped. We had patrons of businesses that were harassed. Some of our unhoused neighbors were harassed. And it's just unacceptable behavior, and it's not going to happen. So if you want to come downtown, enjoy the canal, enjoy our mall, that's fine. Don't come down with the spirit of wanting to do something negative, something bad, because that's when you're going to have to encounter the police. And we don't want that encounter to be negative. We want positive encounters with our community, with our children, and that is our goal. Questions?
Is there going to be any accountability for the parents? Because obviously, the parents who care, their kids are out at 12 o'clock at night causing trouble. So how do you reach those parents who obviously either have issues either on purpose or their circumstances, that their kids are out running the streets causing trouble?
Well, I mean, we're working with the Marion County Prosecutor's Office to determine whether or not charges are appropriate in certain circumstances for those situations, especially what we saw happen last week. And so those investigations are still underway. I don't know what that will result at the end. Our detectives are working with the prosecutor and the victims and others, and we'll present something to the prosecutor at some point for a decision. If appropriate, he'll make the appropriate decision.
Does that apply to parents of just incident victims involved in this last weekend, or could that apply going forward to kids who are breaking a curfew now that the curfew rules being enforced?
I don't know that it's going to apply necessarily to kids that are breaking the curfew, our attorney who's standing up here in Harrigan has done a lot of work this week and a lot of research on this topic, and I haven't made it all the way through her multi-page brief. However, there's some of that is in there, and some guidance, but ultimately charging decisions are not up to the police, right? It's not something we would make an outright arrest on. We'd present the facts to the prosecutor, who would weigh those facts against the law and make that determination. But there is potential for criminal charges for someone who knowingly allows their kids to be somewhere they're not supposed to be and something terrible happens. So, but each incident has its own set of circumstances. There's no black and white answer to any of that. There's a lot of gray, and so that's why we work with the prosecutor, who has been very supportive and wants to find a solution to these issues. And if that means we have to charge a parent to send a strong message, then if it's within the law, that's what we'll do.
If a child's found to be a repeat offender of breaking the curfew, will there be harsher punishments the more it happens?
It is a status offense, so unless my goal is not to take any kids to the juvenile center. That's really not what I want to do. However, if that's what we have to do, then that's what we'll do. We'd rather turn them over to the parents, but we are going to document every single encounter with an incident report. If that's seen that's something over and over again that could be additional intent or probable cause to charge a parent for those kind of things, but it's a status offense. Juveniles cannot commit crimes, and so I don't see that. To my knowledge, there's no enhancement for multiple offenses.
I know this is new, and oftentimes a lot of kids don't understand the full extent of their actions. With that, is there a de-escalation tactic for kids that could be somewhat rebellious or resistive?
Well, I mean, by the time you're 12 or 13 years old, you should know at least somewhat right or wrong. And that's part of the problem that we see is a lot of our youth are not being held accountable at any level of their life. At home, at school, they don't respect traditional institutions like the once were schools, churches, law enforcement. So you are, regardless of whether you're a child or adult, juvenile, you have to listen to the commands of an officer, the lawful commands of an officer. And so whether it's a juvenile we're interacting with or an adult, we're training de-escalation. However, at some point, action has to be taken, and my hope is that parents will step up and help these children make better decisions, because we know their brains aren't fully developed and they don't make all those positive decisions. However, that's where adults come in.
Chief, you mentioned last week that these types of curfews are hard to enforce. A lot of times they have nowhere to go. Let's say, like you said, some parents may not answer.
Yep.
These kids go to the juvenile detention center, but where do they go next? How do you get your officers and get those kids in a safer place?
Well, that was our discussion with the probation chief probation officer this week. Is what do we do? And in the past, we haven't enforced the curfew for those exact reasons. One, there were previous instructions that just the juvenile courts did not want to deal with curfews, violators, and that's fine. I understand that. Back when I started, we also had a separate social center called the Yes Center on East Street that we could take the kids to. That was a place to divert. That closed down, and so the only option available was juvenile. So if they get there and they're not picked up, then juvenile works with the Department of Child Services to deal with the child after that.
You said 315 businesses said they're cooperating with trespass.
Yes.
What does that tell you about what the businesses have seen and how cooperative they are?
Well, we encourage that not just in downtown, across the city, because that's the way that police can get involved when people refuse to leave private businesses. So we encourage that all over the city, not just in downtown. So while there may be 300 plus in downtown, there's 4 or 5 times that probably across the city. It's a tool we have to have legally to forcibly remove someone from a business when they're not welcome there.
Chief, you made any arrests, apprehensions, or have you figured out who was pulling the trigger last Saturday night downtown?
I can tell you, Russ, that the detectives are working nonstop to figure that out. There's lots of video to go through. They're re-talking to the victims in this case and other people that were down there. I'll say this, somebody knows what happened. There's just too many people down there not to know. Someone has a cell phone video on their phone. You don't have to call us directly. You can call Crime Stoppers. You can provide that information to a trusted person in the community, a pastor. Somebody knows something. And if we want accountability in our community, like I hear, then those in the community have to step up and provide that information, even if it's anonymously.
Are you calling on any sort of community support to either open up gymnasiums at churches this week, or for groups of adults to come down and help walk the streets and monitor what goes on this week?
I'm engaging with community organizations, and we're going to put our heads together and find out what we can do to work together to provide other alternatives for individuals. But people should, and children especially, should be allowed to come downtown and enjoy downtown. That they shouldn't be prohibited from that just because they're not 18 years old. So it's not all the kids, and I don't want to lump every one of the kids in a singular category. There are just some people in our community that aren't going to be helped by open gyms or basketball or any of those things. There are people, just like there are adults, that just have to be taken to jail and taken out off of our streets. And that's a very limited amount of people. Someone who's willing to come down and shoot a gun into a crowd, that's a person that's not going to be interested in midnight basketball.
Chief, obviously, this tragic incident, how does it impact what you folks have to deal with on Monday with all the eclipse and all people who will be downtown?
I think that we're talking about apple and oranges here. I mean, I don't know that downtown's going to be full of people. White River State Park is a location, IMS, the majority of people will be. It's a dispersed crowd. I mean, 100,000 visitors is what we're expecting, but that's nothing compared to what we host every other weekend. So I'm not concerned that there's going to be some mass incident because of juveniles downtown because of the solar eclipse. I don't see that happening.
And there's no change to the ordinance, right? Just to clarify, there's no change to the ordinance that's already on the books. There's no change at all, right?
No,
It's not
this
anything
is
special.
this is state statute. And it mimics our city ordinance as well.
Already
Thank you,
done before
everyone.
curfew hours.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Thank you.